Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenos días.
Hello, good day. It's a pleasure to be here in this Congress. The word shocking is very well used. I want to thank the organizers of this Congress for this opportunity, and it's a pleasure to share this opportunity with colleagues of different exchanges. To start with the presentation, as a summary, that it has already been explained. In 5 years, Argentina doubled the wheat exportation and tripled the volume of exports. What we have lived in the last years was amazing for wheat because it augmented expectations, and because of the care of the production to obtain an important balance. If we think about the current campaign, the commercialization of this campaign was very quick. It was initiated before the campaign, so the remnant stock for what's left of the 1920 campaign will be a bit tight, even though the sector has stock to face the demand. We will see the recovery of the price of wheat. We may have some volatility in the market. We will see this in numbers, beginning with production. The huge leap was in the 16-17 campaign. Production reached 18 million tons. In the next campaign, the numbers lowered a bit, and in the 18-19 campaign, production is expected to rise and to exceed the preceding years. The volume of exports reached a historical record of 18.12 million of tons. And for this campaign, in the current condition, we're thinking of a base of 11.9, but prices are starting to rise internationally, and there's an improvement of this situation. And maybe for this campaign we could get 12.3 million tons for exportation. And what's interesting is that Argentina not only has increased the volume of exportation, but it also has diversified the destination of these exports. Brazil represented 25% of our exports, but augmenting the number of wheat sent to Africa, to the Southeast, the Asian Southeastern, including Brazil. This doesn't mean that we are exporting less to Brazil. Actually, the volume has raised, but even though we export more to Brazil, we also export more products to other destinations. As regards the origin of those exports of wheat, it's very interesting. The contribution of Great Rosario to those exportations, it has raised a 60% for this year, and it has to do, as we can see in the maps here, the huge raise in production in the Rosario whereabouts, including the province of Córdoba. The huge ports of the country are Rosario, Necochea, and Quequén, and the different uses of to the high protein wheat. In this campaign, then what we see is that, according to our estimates, exportations up to May reached 9 million tons, in line with what happened in the last campaign. And as we said at the beginning, the exporter sector, we can see in the green line what the exporter sector has bought, more than 11 tons of wheat. What was sold was what it's already shipped.
Which is really interesting in a season like the current season. And as we were just saying, this chart shows the theoretical gross margin in yellow. At the start of the season, it looks quite positive. We've seen this quick advance, and then along the most recent month, pressure over the market decreased, and we saw a decrease in prices. But it is beginning to increase again, and this is also seen in the market. Prices which were the lowest prices probably a month ago, and now we are again back up to around if we know that 14.4 million tons were bought, if we add up the stock, it is 19.6. We see it on the first column. So 74% of the supply has been purchased already. And if we look at the column before the last, there's still 3, which is, below to what is compared to the last, to the previous years. If we compare this with the remaining demand, we calculate it as the shipments to be made and the industrialization that needs to be made. The stock accounts for approximately 45% of the remaining demand. This ratio it's really small, and this has to do with the amount of wheat is quite low. This is the reason why we are saying that there can be a great volatility in the market in the coming months, and so the strategies that can be set are very important. The 2019-2020 season, the projections aim at an increase of the seeded surface, which is also supported by investment in terms of technology, which will lead to a production of 21.2 million tons, which is a statistical yield, and regarding price, and that would be $3.7 million. As regards exports, it is the projections, historical record 13.7 million tons, and the exports of flour, wheat flour, we expect them to increase up to 0.7 million tons. And the revenue for that would be almost $3,000 million. This chart shows the supply-demand balance, the first part with the stocks and production. The total supply would be 22.4 million tons, and the demand, there's an increase of domestic consumption, which is related to the stock at the start of the season, probably because this, competitiveness decreases a little bit, and this, by this we can project an increase. But we see we have a way here to actually add value and export processed foods. Exports of grains would be reaching a historical record, and this would be, we would have about 2 million tons as a final stock. If while this, I mean, even though the value is quite below the record of the last 5 years. I'm running out of time, but this chart, in a way, just it's sort of a backup of the previous one. And for the second time in a row, the wheat that is being seeded is being traded really, really fast. We have 1.5 million tons, almost 2 million tons that have been purchased by the exporting sector. This is aligned with what we saw last year, 1.5 million. But I think, there's a large percentage of these purchases were carried out without having a fixed price, probably expecting for a recovery of prices, and this is being impacted on the market. Now we're talking about $170, which is an increase of about $10 compared to the previous price. Uncertainty factors in terms of how possible are these predictions to come true. Well, climate, prices, volatility for the rest of the season, and for the next season, a recovery of production, but also an increase in demand. And the 2019-2020 season is still not complete, so we have to see what the main competitors have to offer. And the macro scenario, the cost of financing, and the value of the crops in the domestic currency. That would be all. Thank you very much.